Hello everyone, and welcome to another rendition of me attempting to draw Pokemon. So I was actually inspired to do the Blitzle and Zebstrika evolutions because I am a huge fan of horses, and actually my favorites are Ponyta and Rapidash since they are the original, but I really like them because they were horses and Rapidash happened to be a unicorn, which I loved and still love today. You should have seen my room when I was a kid. There were unicorns everywhere. But because I'm attempting to coordinate my nail polish to what I'm drawing, I actually didn't have the correct color nail polish to coordinate Rapidash and Ponyta. So you get Zebstrika and Blitzle instead. And you just saw me try and kind of get the positions and poses down of these two. I used quite a few different some reference images, and I'll link those below. And here I am trying to fix poor Zebstrika's foot. So I guess I maybe I used too much paper. I feel like the length could have been a little bit different as far as the legs were. I was just trying to fill in the paper as much as possible while also keeping the figures as true to character as I could, because even though, you know, I do find that I have my own particular style, but I also like to make the characters appear to be, you know, really accurate. I like to make them look like as if, you know, a Pokemon creator had actually drawn them. So I want to keep them as accurate as I can. So the idea here was, you know, maybe like a mother Zebstrika or like one of the parents, and then, you know, their little baby. So I had the parent Zebstrika kind of, you know, mentoring or tutoring the baby Blitzle. And that was kind of the idea I had. So I looked up a lot of reference images on horses and foals. So I tried to use those as best as I could, even though as a child I did spend a lot of time drawing horses. And, you know, maybe one of these times I can show you guys some sketches, some really old sketches from when I was drawing a lot as a child. I started drawing when I was 9, and I'd been drawing ever since, but I took a very, very, very long hiatus between I was probably about 13, 14 when I kind of stopped drawing seriously, and it's been a struggle trying to get back into it, which is kind of one of the reasons why I created this YouTube channel, was to not only rediscover my love of drawing, but also to discover some new mediums. So watercolor right now has been my favorite, and you can see now I'm layering some light grays. And after I was done with this drawing, I realized maybe I didn't need to layer nearly as much, or I could have used like an ink wash, like India ink. I could have used that instead of the black watercolor, which is what I use mainly. But I was using the gray to try and make some shadows where the whites were on Zebstrika and Blitzle. And I actually found these characters to be really interesting, because when you look at a zebra, you always wonder, oh, is it white with black stripes, or is it black with white stripes? And Blitzle and Zebstrika happen to be black with white stripes, which I thought was an interesting take on that kind of saying. So I wasn't really happy with how the end result was. Maybe it was because it was like a lack of colors. It was very monochrome. The only real color you have is in Zebstrika's eyes and their ears, and that's that really electric kind of blue and the yellow. And the color was bleeding quite a lot. I don't know if it was because I didn't allow it to dry enough, or maybe I was just too impatient, but it was giving me a really hard time. So here I'm layering a little bit of a darker gray, and I didn't want to go full on black too soon because I thought it looked really harsh. You'll see me later putting down a layer of kind of a dark, it's like really black. It's very, very black. The only places I wanted to add black almost pitch black was in the shadowy areas where you would see the shadows, like on the undersides of the Pokemon, or the back legs, the very back legs, the side that is farthest away from us. So their left legs, not their right ones. So I was also attempting to try out the kind of Sugimori technique again, but like I said in the Venusaur video, I found that he doesn't necessarily do the very kind of highlighted watercolor technique that he used to do when he was doing the original 150 and the other 100 from the second gen. So a lot of the newer artwork doesn't include a lot of the highlights. They're very much colored in like a normal drawing would be, so you won't see the very vibrant artisticness or originality. I thought it was really original of him to do the artwork the way he did. It's still very much, you know, a Ken Sugimori piece, but I just felt like his original work from the series is just so gorgeous, like these washed out colors. So it was a little disappointing kind of trying to find reference images for these that weren't, you know, necessarily cell shaded or not really cell shaded, but very blocky shaded, I guess. Like very anime-like, very from like an anime series or something. I mean, this comes from an anime series, but you know what I mean, like an actual illustration. So the reference images that I did find, I kind of used these to try and map out where I was going to put the shading, and I tried to keep the highlights pretty high up on them, as if the sun was kind of beating down from up above or slightly in the right hand corner. Some of the reference images of horses that I used, especially this black, it was this really beautiful black horse, had tons of highlights all across its coat, and I couldn't really replicate it, only because I was really doing this quickly, so I didn't have time to really. I would have used like one of my colored pencils to map that out. I would have drew in the highlights really lightly, and then I would have filled them in, but I was kind of just trying to lay this down on paper to get it done, because I wanted to kind of see how it was gonna look, because I was really interested in seeing if I could draw these two really accurately. And I would do this a little bit differently. Like I said, I would definitely skip layering as much as I did. I might layer maybe half as much, and I would try to maybe make the highlights a little more blended. I mean, I don't know. There's so much I could have done differently. I'm still pretty proud of it, but if I would draw this again, I would definitely wait to do the blue and the yellow, or maybe do those first and make sure those are like the way I want them, because I was just trying to skip around, and I don't know. I think I wanted to add more values to their coats. So you see me adding, like, I keep adding dark and then kind of blending it out with my sponge, and then not really sure exactly, because black is such a hard shade to work with, because it's essentially just gray. It's gray and white. Not gray and white. Oh my gosh, what am I talking about? I'm so tired. It's not really, you know, color. It's I learned this. I did go to art school for all but a semester. But it's so difficult to work with, because, you know, you can go really, really dark with black, and there's almost no going back with it. So you have to be really careful, and it just gets everywhere. So I was trying my best to really be careful with the black. So I tried so hard. So sorry if it kind of got muddied, but, you know, other than that, these guys were really simple to draw. I mean, they were very geometric, except for the entire body. They're very, you know, they're horses, so they have they have like a skeleton to them, so they're really nice. But I really liked doing the spikes, like the lightning bolt type of shapes. So those were really fun. The stripes themselves on them, they're supposed to be like lightning bolts or something. Those were so difficult to place for some reason, especially on Zebstrika. They weren't so hard on Blitzle, but just trying to figure out how I was going to put those on, because you're essentially wrapping them around a form, And I don't know, I tried my very best. So here I'm just kind of finishing off the shadowy areas, especially on Zebstrika's torso, since their head would be kind of, you know, creating that shadow. And then I was just kind of darkening things, and ugh, I feel so bad for Zebstrika's ear. And I didn't really film it, but I did go in with some colored pencils and I tried to darken some of those areas just to kind of give it a little bit more, because the watercolor in that small space wasn't working for me. So I tried my best, and you'll see at the end how it turned out. And I hope you guys enjoyed watching this, and I hope you'll stick around. Until next time, guys, bye!